You wouldn't survive the Middle Ages. Not because of war, Vikings, or swords. You'd die from something much smaller. A splinter, a toothache, a sip of water. You probably wouldn't make it past 30. Hygiene. The invisible killer. Forget castles and armor. Most medieval towns smelled like rot. There were no sewage systems, no flushing toilets, no sanitation departments. People emptied chamber pots straight into the street. Rain mixed human waste with mud. That mud seeped into wells. And that water? You drank it. Rats thrived in these conditions. So did fleas. And fleas carried diseases like the plague. In the 1300s, the Black Death wiped out nearly 1/3 of Europe's population. Not in decades. In just a few years. You didn't need to be weak. You just needed to be unlucky. Medicine survival was a gamble today. A small infection is an inconvenience. Back then, it was a death sentence. There were no antibiotics, no germ theory. Doctors didn't even know bacteria existed. If you cut your hand on wood, the wound could swell, turn red, and fill with pus. Fever would follow. That fever meant infection, and infection often meant death. Medical treatments, bloodletting herbal mixtures, burning wounds with hot irons, or amputating limbs without anesthesia. You have dental pain. They tied you down and ripped the tooth out with pliers. No numbing, no mercy. If you survived the procedure, you still might die from infection. Childhood. The first survival test. You might not even reach adulthood. In many medieval regions, 1 in 3 children died before age 5. Disease, malnutrition, cold winters, unsafe childbirth. Even mothers faced enormous risk. Complications during childbirth were common, and without surgical knowledge or sterile tools, a simple delivery could become fatal. Life expectancy is often quoted as 30 to 40 years, but that average includes massive child mortality. If you've survived childhood, you might live longer, but survival was never guaranteed. Food and famine, one bad harvest away from starvation. Medieval farming depended completely on weather. One bad harvest, one harsh winter, one summer drought, and entire regions faced famine. Food preservation was primitive. Meat spoiled quickly. Grain could rot or become moldy. Contaminated food caused illness, malnutrition, weakened immune systems. If you were poor, you ate what you could get. Sometimes that meant bread made from questionable grain. Sometimes it meant nothing at all. Starvation wasn't dramatic. It was slow, exhausting, relentless. Violence was normal. Even if disease spared you, violence might not. Raids were common. Bandits roamed roads. Wars between kingdoms were frequent. If you were a peasant, you had little protection. If armies marched through your land, your crops were taken. Your home could burn. Your family could be displaced. And if you were conscripted into battle, armor was expensive. Most soldiers had minimal protection. Injuries were brutal. Medical care was primitive. Survival depended on luck, as much as strength. Justice was harsh. Crime and punishment were not subtle. Stealing could mean mutilation, public humiliation, execution. Torture was sometimes used to extract confessions. Justice systems were inconsistent and often brutal. There were no appeals, no modern legal protections. Accusation alone could ruin you. Daily labor destroyed the body. Life wasn't sedentary. It was physically exhausting. Farming required constant manual labor. Carrying water, chopping, wood, plowing fields, from sunrise to sunset. Without modern medicine, joint damage, back injuries, and chronic pain were common. You didn't retire. You worked until your body failed. The final reality, the Middle Ages weren't constant misery. There was family, community, religion, moments of celebration. But survival was fragile. A minor injury, dirty water, a failed harvest, a random outbreak. Any one of these could end you. So when people romanticize medieval life, the castles, the swords, the warriors, remember this: you probably wouldn't die in battle. You'd die from infection, hunger, or disease, and likely wouldn't live to see the Middle Ages weren't survived by the strongest. They were survived by the luckiest. And if you were born into that world, would you really make it past childhood?